I hear you want to start your own PC game store. Got a little bit of bad news for you though. It's going to cost you a pretty penny. How much? Well, thanks to the Epic versus Apple court battle, we can have a look at Epic's own internal documents to give you an idea. Let's have a look at them and discuss on Rogue Upload. One reason we don't see more companies sue each other left and right is because, well, if you go to court, you need to make your internal documents public. And Epic in this case seems to have been all right with that. So thanks, Epic. As a prospective game store owner yourself, well, let's dive in and have a look at what you'd have to pay to start your own game store. First up, let's have a look at this chart of free games that you'll be giving away. You'll see over this time period from, let's say maybe December 2018 to September 2019 for some reason, you would be perhaps shelling out around over $11 million for free games. The buyout price, or the price that you'd have to give the developers, will range. Perhaps for Subnautica, you'd be forking over $1.4 million. Nice. Although, in this case, it looks like Epic got a deal with this because their user acquisition cost, or UA, was only $1.74. Their average over this entire campaign was $2.37. So that's probably a pretty low amount to pay to acquire users. So this tactic of providing free games on your store is probably a winner. Next up, let's have a look at what your new users in the store by day might look like. You'll see with those free games that you're providing, you get a big bump in users on those days. In fact, all those spikes seem to be related mostly to those free games that Epic is providing. There's some other minor bumps due to their mega sale and opening access to China, but in the most part, when they're providing free games, more people sign up for the store. Although there is the Borderlands 3 in there, which is interesting. That was an exclusive for Epic Game Store, and we'll talk about that more later. And the next chart here is the Epic Store daily revenue. One thing you might see right off the bat is that all those free games that you're giving out, well, it's not really translating into immediate sales in your store. That kind of makes sense. Somebody gets a game, then they're going to be busy playing that game and not buying other things on your store. So, you're going to have big pockets to wait out until people actually buy something from your store. If we take these two charts and put them on top of each other, you'll see right away that, yes, what I've been talking about is true. You don't really see very much of a bump in sales when you give a free game out. This next slide shows, well, what does it look like in terms of the conversion rate for those free users? And it looks like lifetime to date, or LTTD, the average revenue per paying user for those people who got a free game is $40, which if you take off Epic's take on their game store, which is 12%, it's a reasonable profit. And you can also see that it's a roughly 2/3 split of revenue to a third for the people who arrived with a free game. So enough of free things. Let's talk about exclusivity. And in this case, Borderlands 3. Was this a good deal for Epic? Well, if you quickly glance at this, you might be like, Epic had to give $146 million for Borderlands 3. And, well, that might not actually be correct. If you look at the Borderlands 3 deal, the breakdown there, they have an $80 million minimum guarantee. If for some reason the launch of the game on the Epic Games Store bombed, and during that exclusivity window, they didn't make $80 million in game sales, that's the amount Epic Games would have been on the hook for. But it turns out they recouped that $80 million within 2 weeks of the game being released. Things maybe still don't look very great for Epic. It's about $66 million that they'd have to recoup on this deal in order to break a profit. And it looks like they've only made $9.2 million in that first 2 weeks of sales, that period where you might expect to see most of the profit being generated. Maybe Epic got taken to the cleaners with this deal. But you see, they got 53% new users for the Epic Game Store, and that is likely what they are aiming for, those new users. So the cost that they pay for this exclusive, worth it. So why is Epic so focused on these free and exclusive games? Well, if you look at this next slide, you see that Epic thinks that they could have a lock on 50% of the PC gaming market, which is, that's a lot of revenue. And if they took the proverbial foot off the gas, well, they're looking at 8% of the PC gaming market, which is a lot less than 30 to 50%. So what have we learned in this video? Well, if you're going to open your game store on PC, you better be prepared to make it rain. Woo! Yay! Woo! And if you can't do that, well, you can always like and subscribe to Rogue Upload. Stay tuned to this channel for more updates on the Epic versus Apple battle. I did a video on the start of the trial that you can link to in the top right corner or left, wherever it is. And thanks for watching. I'm Matthew. Have a good one. Have you liked and subscribed yet? Link up there.